This is Anna. Anna was a model living in Canada. She spent her early years traveling between cities, living out of suitcases, walking runways, posing under the hot lights. She knew how to hold the perfect posture, how to smile with her eyes, how to wear confidence like a second skin. Eventually, she left it behind for love. A love that carried her from Canada to Greece, where the fairy tale only seemed to grow more perfect. She's now a mother of two with a husband who adores her. They built a home nestled in northern Greece that looks like it was plucked from the pages of a Mediterranean dream. We've all been taught to believe that a perfect life looks a certain way. Sun-kissed mornings, curated brunches, happy kids, and glowing skin. And Anna, she checked every box. You know, the kind of woman who seems to float through life like it was made for her? That's Anna. By all accounts, she has it all. So imagine my surprise when over a casual family lunch, she looked at me in the eye and asked, "Would you consider making a documentary about my trauma?" Trauma? Anna? I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. I thought I always knew Anna. What could possibly hide behind a life so perfect? It didn't compute. Not with that polished version of her that I've been carrying around in my mind. So I did what any curious storyteller and concerned friend would do. I invited her to tell us about her trauma. And here she is. This is the story of Anna.
I grew up in Canada in a very, very small town, French Canadian. My mom was 15 when she got pregnant from a very Catholic Christian family. My dad was 16. And I never saw my parents living together. They were separated from the age I think I was 4. It was very difficult. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather on my dad's side. And when I was, I think, 7, we moved away from where all my family was and we moved to a foreign city where I didn't know anybody, me and my mom. We moved there together because it was closer for her work. She was working abroad and she had to take a plane. Long story short, I was raised by left and right, babysitters, uncles.
What is your earliest memory of your childhood?
I would say my grandmother would always take me shopping. That's how she would show me her affection. She would take me to the mall. We would go always buy something. That was like our special time between us. It was nice. She would cook for me. She would make meals. She would get me cute clothes. As I said, she would take me shopping and take me to, I have so many pictures that she would take me to Sears catalog, those magazines, and to take like super silly pictures with flowers. And I don't know, it was her thing. She would take me. I think that she was also pregnant when my mom was pregnant, and she lost twins. So like she kind of like had me as like a bonus child in a way. So yeah, we were very close. And my grandpa also, he was like the father figure in my life for me.
Did you miss your parents?
It's hard to miss something that you don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? My mom was working abroad. She would leave maybe for 7 days and come back for 6 days, like something like this, half of the year. So the time that she would be away, I would be either with babysitters, or when I was like around 12, I stopped having a babysitter. My brother would go to the house next door and I would have somebody. So I was basically left on my own from like a very, very young age.
How did that feel?
Scary, I guess. I was like looking for love in different places, in all the wrong places. Try to find belonging. That was very difficult, obviously, but I was into it. I was not aware so much of the impact of all these things had for me.
When did you start realizing, because you've had a really fabulous life when somebody looks from the outside, you're a successful model when you were younger, you married well, you married into a good family, you moved to Greece.
Yeah.
Fabulous house, fabulous life. One would say you absolutely have it all.
That's true.
So when did you start realizing that something was not well inside of you?
Honestly, the event that made everything, I was overwhelmed with a rage, and I literally tore pins off my body. That was like after my son was born. My son was born in 2020. It was after COVID, maybe a year or two after the birth, like 2021, 2022 more.
So your trauma started manifesting basically after you gave birth to your son.
I think that they were manifesting on a daily basis. I just was unaware of everything. I just was living in a body. My soul was living in a body that was unaware. I was just disconnected. I had to dissociate from such a young age in order to survive. And I lived a constant life that was non-present, not in the moment, dissociating at all time, always daydreaming, always thinking of silly things. Just my mind would never stop thinking. That's like a trauma response, obviously. I learned that later on. I had anxiety attacks. I had also hypochondria. When I first moved to Greece, I thought that I was dying every 2 weeks. I don't know. I thought I was having a panic attack. I thought my heart was going to stop. That was very intense in its own, to just always feeling. And that was also a big chapter in my life where I made peace with death, because I think that's like a big thing. We're afraid of dying. And so for me, I discovered through Dolores Cannon a belief for my soul that makes me feel a continuity and not to be afraid of dying. So that really resolved itself on its own, because I'm not afraid anymore, or because I had a growth process into that. So that was removed. But definitely a lot of anxiety, panic attack, rage, like you have something so small happening and it triggers something so big inside of you, and you just, the emotion, the reaction is not proportionate at all to the situation. So when that happens, you start realizing, obviously, something is not adding up. Something, I'm operating from a place that is not grounded.
How did you decide to address this?
That's a funny thing, because I was doing my nails at this place with these two girls, and they were telling me all the time about DBR. And at that time, I was fascinated by psychology.
What is DBR?
Deep brain reprogramming therapy. It is like the sister brand of EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization. I forgot the R. Anyway, because of this, EMDR is with an outer You will have like an object that moves and your eyes move left and right, and that helps you process things. It disconnects you or it connects you. I'm not sure because I have never done it. I've done DBR, and that is, how can you say? It takes time to get to that place with your therapist, maybe 6 months to 8 months to build so that she understands or he understands what your situation is. And then you get into a zone where she makes you sit down, feet on the ground, and she gets you in a Zen mode. And in that Zen mode, she will tell you, okay, what triggered you this week? We have that thing. We know, okay, this girl cut me off and I was like super angry about it. And then she will make me go back at that day, refeel the emotion that was triggered. And the emotion that was triggered is rooted in the trauma that you had before. So what's going to happen? It gives space to your body to process the shock that you had at that time. And then the aftermath, the emotion will come. So you will have recoil. You may have like, you're obviously not shaking like a crazy person, but you have those recoil and sensation. It's literally shock coming out of your body. And all it needs is just a safe space and some time to just let your nervous system knows what to do. You just have to give it time.
How did you go back with your therapist, and when did you start realizing that a lot of this began during your childhood?
Because most trauma is from childhood.
How did you make the connection to go back?
Because I thought that I had dealt with it. But what I had done is I had spiritually bypassed everything. I just said, my mom was a woman. She did the best she could. And I closed that box. Same thing for my dad. My dad...
You put it in a box?
Yeah, I just said, this is the situation with my childhood. She did the best she could. She was 16 years old. But that did not allow me to feel the things that I felt at that time. I just basically bypassed all the emotion that little Anna had. And I just excused it all by saying, okay, this was her path and it's okay. I forgive her. But that didn't allow me to live those things, to process those things out of my body. And they were holding me back. Holding me back from being the best version of myself, being present, not lose my temper on my kid or on myself, not to be so harsh on myself as well, develop compassion towards myself and kindness, because it's very, very hard towards, from me to me, I'm my hardest critique. Perfectionism and overcompensating all the time.
How long did it take you to go from point A to B? For example, from getting anxiety attacks to really getting a grip on your life, on your actions, on your relations with people? How long did that take?
It's still an ongoing process. It's not done. And I think this is like the beauty of life, to always strive to be better. Honestly, yeah, it took a really long time. It takes a long time. It's a long process, very long. It's always a constant thing, because I will get triggered about something. Now I will catch myself before, but I'm human. Some of the time I might not. 4 years. I've been almost 5 years in DBR therapy. So it's been a really long time. It took time to build that. What I understood is that when I went into my therapist's office, I started to build a foundation. And that foundation was in between those 4 walls, but slowly, that foundation incorporated itself within me. And I would take that outside with me all the time. So that's like a very, very powerful thing for me. And it helped me a lot. So definitely a good 3 to 4 years, because the first year, it was all just so panicky. I remember I would walk into therapy and I was like, you don't know what happened to me. And it was just like panic, no groundness into this process. And the more and more I grew and the more and more I shed trauma and I process it, I become more and more grounded.
What has changed in your life because of that?
So many things. I'm grounded. Whenever something happens, an emotion rise up or a trigger, I don't fight it. I face it head on. because when you go into the Zen mode, the DBR, it was very, very painful. Physically, it really hurts to take trauma. Like the shock comes out very easily. It doesn't hurt. But when the emotion rises and you feel, it feels like somebody's stepping on your throat or is grabbing you. It's like the most painful physical pain that I have ever had, to just trying to let the emotion out. Extremely, extremely painful. But this is also the thing about the inner child that we have mentioned before, is that my inner child never felt safe and it felt abandoned. And this was a whole process through DBR therapy to unify myself with my inner child, because I started therapy thinking that I'm gonna minimize my inner child to the point that I'm gonna kill it, because I thought the inner child in me is ruining my life. I need to be the adult and to leave this child outside so I can be the adult and I can function. I never understood that I had to make peace with the inner child and show it love and kindness and all these things.
Basically, the way that you grew up, you never really had a childhood. You were mature at a very, very young age.
Very, very, very young age. I did not have a childhood. And when I was really young and I still lived with my mom, because I left the house, I think I was 14.
You left the house on your own at 14?
Yes. Many times we were fighting. She would say I would want to leave. She would kick me out or whatever. It was a very chaotic home situation. I never felt home. It was always, this is my house, this is my rules. You know, it never felt, so that was very important for me with my kids. For them to feel like they belong, they have a home no matter what, at any time, they can always come back to it, you know. The diagnosis that came out of therapy was CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was not the kind of person who ever wanted to use a stigma and to make it my identity. But in this case, it was the most helpful thing to understand what is CPTSD, how does it develop, and how do you regulate your nervous system? Because CPTSD is basically your nervous system that is always fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
What were the traumatic events that contributed to CPTSD?
Yes.
I know we're treading on deeper ground.
Okay. So, look, CPTSD, it doesn't have to be one simple thing that happens to you. It's a constant, slowly chipping away at your personality, at your ego, at your self-worth, at the identity of self. So many things have happened along the way, never feeling seen, never feeling heard, never feel acknowledged. As a child, that's devastating because you're already so lost and vulnerable in the world. I also was victim of sexual abuse when I was 15. So that was also a big thing in my life that was very difficult, still is, to talk about, get over it, and process.
What kind of emotional responses did you experience in the aftermath?
In the aftermath of
Your traumatic experiences, the events that caused you to have CPTSD?
Well, I think that it will create a human that doesn't trust, that doesn't have confidence within herself and within the world outside of her.
Did you recognize that in yourself?
Yes, 100%.
How did that affect your relationship with family, friends, co-workers?
It was very difficult. At that time, I didn't really realize it, that I was always on the defense. Whenever somebody would tell me that I did something wrong, I saw it as a personal attack to my character, not to do with the actual action. I would take everything so deep on a personal level that it would be devastating to me.
How do you navigate triggers today?
I do yoga a lot. I realized that in DBR therapy, my therapists have me sitting very still. And I realized through my training to become a yoga teacher with very strong movement, continuous strong movement, that you move energy. And that helps release a lot of trauma as well. So I incorporated this now when I go to the BR, which I still do, I move my body. Like, yes, my feet are grounded, but I will move my shoulder, I will move my neck. I'm not so rigid. I think the most difficult thing is when you're in that phase, which is called the darkness of the soul, where you leave that island that you associate that is you, and you realize that's not me. These are just coping mechanisms. I need to figure out who I am, right? So when you're in that darkness of the soul, you have no sense of self. And I went through, my therapist got mad at me. She was telling me, I thought that I was a bad person. I thought I was a narcissist.
I mean, what were the traits that you showed?
It's not necessarily traits. It's because I didn't have any points of like my light, how you call this? Lighthouse? My lighthouse was my therapist at that time, because she reinforced the belief that she was like, I have all of these amazing qualifications. You trust me for so many years, and I'm telling you, you're not this. So let's build from that. And it was very, very helpful for me to build from that.
So basically, she persuaded you that scientifically, what you're saying does not stand.
Yes, because you cannot have CPTSD and be a narcissist. It's not possible. Because what happened is there's a split as a child that you will either go empath or narcissistic. And I went through the empath, which is the people-pleasing, PTSD, CPTSD.
Can you share a specific moment or milestone where you felt like you were making progress in gaining control of your symptoms?
It happens daily. It's small events that happens. If I'm overwhelmed, I will be able to put boundaries before it escalates. If I'm feeling stressful, I will move my body or I will journal. I'm like much more connected with the self. So I realize what's going to happen before it happens. So it helps me processing things before it happens, basically.
What would you want others who don't understand CPTSD to know about the condition?
It's not so much to understand, because it's a very personal journey. Like, I don't think that it's so important for people to understand something about CPTSD. If you feel like you're reacting instead of responding to things happening to your life, if you're operating from a place based of fear, then it's good to start reading books about the psychological CPTSD, perhaps, or go and find some help to speak to a professional and maybe find if that's what you have.
Are there any misconceptions about CPTSD that you would like to correct from people who are unfamiliar with it?
The biggest misconception, I believe, is that it's one big thing that has happened to you. And it's not the case. It's many series of events that happen all the time, because people associate PTSD with veterans, which is not necessarily only that. It can happen, as I say, every day, a little bit, not feeling seen, not being loved, not being understood, not being valued by the people who brought you to this life. So you feel like you have no worth as a being.
What does a good day look like for you compared to a bad day?
A good day, I'm balanced. I eat well. I move my body. I'm connected with my kids when they want to touch base about something instead of like, wait, I'm overwhelmed. That's a good day, where I move my body, I eat well, I'm present, I'm in touch with self. A bad day is when I'm overwhelmed, I'm out of track, everything is going wrong, and I cannot see the positivity in it, which is very rare, because I'm somebody who will always find the positive in things. And I will catch myself into it, but I will derail a little bit. That's like a bad day for me.
What advice would you give to others who are just beginning to understand to deal with CPTSD?
that it's not something that is an identity. It's something that you can heal. It's a neurological disorder that you can fix when you give time, space, and a safe environment for your nervous system to get out of the freeze and to start slowly get in touch with yourself.
How do you see your life in the future?
Beautiful. I find myself so blessed that at 38 years old, I figure out, after all the life that I've had, my calling. I love to help people, and through yoga, through movement, even if somebody starts a class and they just do it for a fitness purpose, they will see that it's much more than that, and they will become connected to themselves. Everybody has trauma. Everybody will have trauma. This is a human experience. You have to have some friction in order to grow. It's just what you do with that trauma that matters. If you decide to become a victim of it, then you just want to collapse on yourself. That's okay. Some people need to go through that, but that's not the ultimate. It's to turn it to something positive and to make something good out of it.
If you could speak to your younger self, perhaps during the most challenging of times, what would you say to her?
It's very sweet. I think I would tell her that everything is going to be okay, and that the fact that she held on for so long was the most beautiful gift that she's given me in order for me to make it right.
Do you think she would be proud of you, knowing what you are today?
I think that I'm becoming the parent I never had, and I'm doing that as well for my kids. I'm giving them the parents I never had, and that's the most beautiful gift I can give to my inner child and to me and to my children.
What is the one thing that you want viewers to take away from hearing your story?
Most importantly, that they're not alone, that there is a light, and you are the light. Because the reason why you're born in so much darkness is because you are light. Otherwise, without light, there's no darkness. Without darkness, there's no light. So the darkest, the most difficult life you have means that you have so much light inside you, so much strength. And after to try to find that light inside of you, because this is what the world needs.
Is it difficult to find the light? What do you need to find the light?
To be, for me, because everybody's different, for me is to be passionate about things, to create. That's how I find light. I find light as well in everyday mundane things, whether it's my yoga practice, whether it's to wash my daughter's hair and to feel that I'm like washing the hair of the young me. It's like those beautiful moments. These are all light moments.
So everything you can make beautiful.
Everything.
And give meaning.
Absolutely. That's the most important part of it all.
Anna's message isn't about erasing the past, it's about reclaiming the present. It's a reminder that no trauma has the final word, that healing isn't linear or perfect or always pretty, but it is possible. And most of all, she wants you to know you are not alone. Your story is not over. You're allowed to change it, to write new chapters, because trauma does not get to write your ending. You do. She's not defined by what happened to her. She's defined by what she chose to do with it. Anna found something remarkable, herself. And that, to me, is the most powerful kind of beauty there is. It's more complex and more beautiful than it first appears.